Yay. We're good?
Looks good. You can see more than you told me. You can see more of me than you told me I could see.
I tightened it up a little bit, I thought.
Okay.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, we good?
We're good.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Pumpkin Patch, and welcome to the very first episode of Fright Hype, a series that we have here at the Fall Horseman that we're starting as a sort of roundtable live stream discussion.
Is it a round table? There's no table.
The round table is in your head.
I mean, also there's just two of us.
It's a line table. It's more like a line dance. It's the line dance live stream where we talk about different forms of media, TV shows, movies, and whatnot. And for our very first episode, we are picking up and covering, surprise, surprise,
Chucky,
Season 3, Episode 1. So we have our computer just off to the side here so that we can see your chats. If you feel like you want to say something, just get on there and type away, and let's hear from you. But we're going to go into the show proper. We're going to do a little bit of discussion about what happens on the show, and then we're gonna talk some shop, so to speak.
Yeah, so there are spoilers ahead. If you have not watched season 3, episode 1 of Chucky, you might want to watch that first and then come back to us talking about it, because we are going to spoil. We're going to spoil throughout. We're not going to warn as we spoil. We're just going to spoil the show. So
yeah,
this is your spoiler warning. It's the only one you're going to get.
Yeah, this is the blanket spoiler warning here for you. All right, so we have Chucky, Season 3, Episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
And in this particular episode, we see Chucky.
Yeah, are you going to let me introduce myself too?
Oh, yes.
Hi, I'm Jessica.
I'm sorry, I'm jumping straight in. This is the problem. I'm just ready to not forget anything.
And honestly, I was going to talk for a minute and say I love Chucky very much. Chucky, the Child's Play movies were my first foray into a horror movie series that I ever got. So just for some background on I dress up like Chucky, but because I love it. So that's really it. So I really
What is your favorite entry of the Chucky entire franchise?
Bride of Chucky.
Bride of Chucky.
Bride of Chucky's my favorite. I know it's very silly. I know a lot of people really hate Bride of Chucky. But I love it. I love Jennifer Tilly. And I love silliness.
Well, there's plenty of silliness to be had in the Chucky franchise post Bride of Chucky.
True. Very true.
And that's where the series is it's set post Bride. Every entry beforehand is canon. Everything that has happened is still happening.
Right. And I just want to apologize briefly because I'm going to blow my nose some. I've been dealing with a cold for the past few days, so apologies if the sniffling is bothersome. It's going to happen.
Also, it's allergy season, so apologies if I cough on this live stream, which anybody that follows the live streams knows that I do cough sometimes, so I apologize as well. All right. Well, we're going to see Chucky in Season 3 move into a new house, tackle some new issues, maybe make some new friends. Probably not. And have a lot of adventures that we're going to follow over this, I believe, 6 episodes.
I believe that's correct.
Of this season. If you are new to the channel, my name is James.
I'm Jessica.
This is Jessica. And we are the Fall Horsemen. We are here to have spooky, goofy, vloggy fun all year round. You'll notice me from shopping videos, probably. That's where most people know me from.
Mm-hmm.
You'll notice Jessica from being the actual talent on this channel.
I don't know about that.
I shop around stores. She is just amazing at everything.
I don't know. That's not true.
So let's jump in. What house is Chucky moving into? From the trailers, we've seen some things.
Mm-hmm, we sure have. He's moving into the White House.
The White House. Not a White House, right?
Not a White House. The actual White House. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. First episode title is Murder at 1600.
Oh.
Which is a movie I loved from the late 90s or early 2000s. I did not do the research before we got on here. But yeah, the first episode's entitled Murder at 1600.
Murder at 1600. That continues the trend with the Chucky series of having clever titles to each one of the episodes. So that is a continuation of this, and it's a continuation of kind of the thematic elements that Chucky likes to have for their seasons. I really think that Chucky likes to do a very slow burn over the first episode or two, so we don't get a ton of plot in this particular thing, just a lot of good setup.
Yes, that's definitely true, because I feel like it's a slow burn at the beginning, and then normally, at least for the first 2 seasons of Chucky, like business really picks up in episode 3. In fact, I believe, I could be wrong on this, I think that in season 1 and season 2, there is only one Chucky kill in the first episode. And that holds true again in this season. I haven't done the research, but I will go back and look at that before our next live stream, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But yeah, so it starts out very slow, and then business really starts to pick up as the season progresses. I enjoy that because it helps lay the groundwork for each season, and I feel like each season has its own contained story. I really enjoy that about the Chucky series, is that it's just like an extra long time to tell a story, a Chucky story that they're trying to tell.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy that, and I don't mind the slow beginning. I'll stick with it.
Oh yeah.
At the end of episode 2 of season 2, I was very frustrated, but I was like, I'm gonna stick with it because I love Chucky, and I'm very glad that I did.
Yeah. Chucky does have a tendency to, in that slow burn beginning, really just kind of set up a lot of loose threads. I feel like it does it intentionally to try to tie up almost all of the loose ends. It's still a horror franchise, and it's still an old school, like 80s style horror franchise, in that they want to make sure there's a little bit left for a possible sequel. But Chucky does do a really good job of just leaving these loose ends out, and you're on episode 4 and you're like, I don't know if you have time to finish this story. But they do. They definitely craft it with that in mind.
There's no doubt about that.
All right. Well, let's talk about the actual plot of the episode on this particular one.
All right.
So we see Devon Sawa has made his return. Once again, the triumphant return of Devon Sawa. For those new to the Chucky series, Devon Sawa is a stand-in kind of actor. He stands in pretty much every scene as a different character sometimes. He is always recast. He is always a different character. It is always never mentioned, just hinted at.
Yes. Like in season 2, Devon Sawa's character, like one of the other characters says, he looks a little bit familiar to me.
And I like that. I like the fact that they're willing to play fast and loose with a lot of the things. But the Chucky series does that.
Yeah, it does. That's true. It holds true to the previously established movie series that they do.
Yeah.
So I like the wink wink nudge nudge.
Yeah. This is definitely a lot of fan service for anyone that's a Chucky fan, but not so convoluted that you need someone to explain it like the stinger at the end of a Marvel movie. So I enjoy that particular thing. But Devon Sawa is President of the United States. A president named James, which I can get down. I'm fine with that.
I would not want a president. I would not want to be the president. Like, yeah, I know you're like, oh yeah, I can get down with the president named James. I never want to be the president. So yuck.
I don't want to be the president either, but
Good name though. Good name.
It's a good name. It's a good solid name. And I mean, if I could just tell the president one thing, I would just tell them, can we make Halloween a paid holiday for everybody? That's it. That's all I got. That's literally it.
Honestly, if we could just observe Halloween on a specific day, like Thanksgiving, instead of on a specific date, then I think things would be a lot better. But that's a conversation for a different day.
That's right. Maybe we'll have a live stream about that.
Ooh,
Maybe.
will we?
I don't know. Maybe. I
Okay.
don't know. You guys tell us that in the comments if you want that. So
All right.
we can talk about more like fundamental stuff in another series.
Mm-hmm.
Checking, we good?
Yeah, we're good. That's why I keep looking over because my computer's over here to see if you guys are commenting. So I'm not looking away from you, I promise.
Yeah, sorry about the last minute notification about when this was coming on. We were still trying to work a lot of stuff out. We were at a haunted house last night. There was a lot of stuff. Episode of Haunt Story coming for that.
And we're amateurs.
Yeah, we're amateurs. Yeah, you came to see the Halloween shopping goofball. Well, you know that nothing is really set in stone around me. So, all right, but Devon Sawa is president.
Mm-hmm.
He has his wife and he has 2 boys. He has a what appears to be a teenage boy, and then a boy about 11. I think they mentioned that he's 11 in the.
I think they mentioned that he's 11, but there is no way that child is actually 11. That kid looks like he's 6 or 7 years old, and acts like he's 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
I have a feeling maybe that will end up getting schmozzed during this season, because like that kid is clearly 6 or 7 years old, right?
I think so. I think so. But he has 2 kids, and there is mentioned that at some point they had a 3rd child. That 3rd child was named Joseph. He is no longer with the family. We don't know a lot of details. Again, another loose thread that will get tied up later. But there is a 3rd child named Joseph, which is important because the youngest son, who is living in the White House, is terrified of ghosts. Period. Just ghosts.
Yes.
Ghosts in general, just ghosts. Every ghost.
Throughout the episode, he keeps reading these ghost stories about the White House. I love that. I love a spooky child.
Oh, yeah.
And so the fact that he's so obsessed by it is just delightful to me. It's one of the things I really love in this first episode. Is I'm like, I love this child and I love a spooky child in general.
And on top of that, like I think that if you are not a spooky person, first off, welcome to the Fall Horseman. I don't know how you found us. But spooky people, I think I can speak for all of us spooky people. We do that. Like, this terrifies me. Give me all of it. I want more of it.
Yes.
We don't know what it is. It's a compulsion, maybe. I don't know. But he's obsessed with these ghosts. The ghosts are trying to kill him, but he's got a new friend, and it's a good guy doll, and that good guy doll is named Joseph, which is mysterious. And also, that good guy doll is not named Joseph. He's Chucky.
Well, I mean, yes. And honestly, we get that very early in this episode. The very first scene, or one of the very first scenes, is the mom putting the kid to bed, and we see the Joseph doll's head move, and so we know that good guy doll is in fact Chucky.
As a general rule on the Chucky TV show, I'm just throwing this out there. There's no reason to stay hard and fast with this, because Chucky can't stay hard and fast on anything, really, for their stories. If there's a Chucky doll, if there's a good guy doll, it's Chucky. And if it ain't Chucky, it'll soon be Chucky. I think that's pretty much been 100%. So, but this one already is Chucky.
Yep. Whenever you have the good guy logo on you, you know it might be bad news.
Thanks for joining the stream, guys. Like, share, and subscribe. After this particular opening with the ghosts in the bed and everything, bedtime story. It's not a bedtime story, but it's a ghost story, sort of. We move into meeting the 3 children who we have been following throughout the Chucky series. We have Jake, we have Devon, and we have Lexi. We get an update on Jake, who is making a new doll piece of art and hunting a good guy doll head to complete it.
That doll sculpture, we didn't talk about this.
Oh, we did not talk about it.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, it is. It's scary.
I mean, if someone left that like on my doorstep, I would be very scared. Like, I'd be like, we're moving.
Yeah.
And like, we love this house, but we're moving.
Yeah.
Yikes. I like spooky things. I like spooky art. That's too much for me.
Too much spook.
Mm-hmm.
You heard it here first.
And I don't like creepy doll. I mean, like I'm currently dressed like the creepiest of dolls, but I don't like creepy dolls as a general rule.
As a general rule, yes.
Other than myself dressed up like a creepy doll.
It's complicated.
It's a complicated relationship, as all things are, I guess.
Exactly. So we get an update from Jake. That's who we see in this particular, like, after the next commercial break kind of thing. And it's Jake, and he's hunting this good guy doll to finish his artwork. And he mentions the fact that he knows there's got to be one left because Chucky is still alive. And they want to make sure that they find Chucky. You definitely get the impression from this particular one that, like, he is doing this, he's sending this out on the internet. He doesn't really say what it is, if it's YouTube or if it's something else. You don't know, but you definitely get the tongue-in-cheek kind of impression that he's just faking it for the screen because he's just trying to hunt Chucky. That's really what he wants. He doesn't care about completing the art piece. It's a lot of subterfuge. Which is something that they've learned how to live with over these 3 seasons, and I think it's great because now you get to see them actually good at it. It's not a lot of like fumbling around the delusion of life so that they can get to Chucky, which is something that Andy never really mastered in his like journey through the early Chucky films. Then we go back to the White House. We see more of the first family and all their things. The teenage boy, is infamously using TikTok to expose things that his family doing. Just embarrassing things. Nothing bad, just very embarrassing things. Something about the curtains are ugly. Different things. But he's on TikTok for that, which I think is going to be important later. I
think so too, and also like when we see Lexi recording herself, it's also TikTok, and I think that Jake actually references that he's also on TikTok when he says he's looking for the Chucky doll. So I do think that TikTok is going to play an integral part in this season, and I was wondering if they're going to do some stuff on actual TikTok as part of what they're going to promote for the show, because I don't know if you guys have been on the Chucky texts. Have you been? I don't know if you've been getting them. I have not. Okay, I'm getting the Chucky texts, and so there in the Chucky text there are some links to some short videos. Okay. Mostly the trailers for the show so far, but I didn't know if as the season progressed that the texts or anything on TikTok was going to become relevant.
Okay, could be. It definitely could be.
Yeah, one of the texts that we got this that I got this week was after the nationwide alert. Mm-hmm. Like 3 minutes after that, I got a text from Chucky that said, "Hey, you guys, I don't know if you just heard that, but I've just been pressing buttons in this house all day." And so I thought that was interesting and creative.
That is very good. Mm-hmm. I like that.
Mm-hmm. So I do think they're trying to use social media to help market the show and stuff. I don't know if that's going to become a part of the season. I know we've seen shows try to do that and not be very successful at it. But this seems more interesting.
Yeah. So after the information that we get from the family about the son on TikTok doing these TikToks and exposing the dirty laundry of the family, we see the relationship between the youngest child and his Secret Service agent kind of grow. They're kind of connecting. He's taking care of him. And then we go away to commercial. We come back, and now we're getting this relationship. We're getting this like relationship with Lexi in TikTok, which is a lot more. It's a lot more aggressive than Jake's approach. You can tell that Lexi is, not very happy to be on TikTok, doing dances. I believe she refers to them as thirst traps.
Mm-hmm, she does.
Ultimately, because she's trying to find her sister, who's been missing since the end of the last season, and we find out that's been about a year, roughly. So we assume that the show is happening in real time. But Lexi also using TikTok to try to gain something, to get more information. Find her sister, find Chucky. So there's that connection as well. We go back to the Oval Office. We see that there was an issue earlier where security's been tightened up a little bit. I'm trying to avoid saying spoilers, but we can say spoilers. So
I don't know why you're avoiding certain things and not others.
So ultimately, the White House had lost power due to some form of attack. So there is a lot more like tighter security on the kids. You see the Secret Service agents near them all the time, and it's definitely something where they're trying to show the relationship between the kids and their Secret Service agent, which I'm sure that is going to come into play throughout the season, but definitely at the end of this episode. And then we move to Devon, who is continuing his podcast, and he's talking more about the Charles Lee Ray murders. He's talking about what had happened to them during season 1, I believe, correct? Because he's talking about Lexi's boyfriend.
Yes.
And he's expounding upon that a little bit and talking about Chucky. He is a little bit more out there, but he's running this podcast, which is a lot more forthcoming and a lot more like full of narration, so to speak. So he's telling a story, and it's hooking some people, and it's really, really good. I like the Devon hack and slash podcast, kind of like a backbone of these seasons. And then we go back to the White House, and we get your
we get our first kill, first Chucky kill of the season, which is Chucky killing the Secret Service agent. All right, we have to talk about this.
Okay.
For me, the show is already off the rails at this point.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And then he kills a Secret Service agent as his first kill. And, like, I understand we're supposed to suspend our disbelief. And in the Chucky verse, of course, we always suspend our disbelief, like, quite a bit. But this, for me, is a very far stretch.
Okay.
Like, the security in the White House is, like, really tight. This whole thing seems very unlikely to me. To actually be something that would happen. But honestly, like, I will tell you that I felt very frustrated after season 2, episode 1 as well, and so I understand things will get better, and I will like the season more as it continues. Probably, it's a real tough one for me, you guys. It's a real tough one for me. And the first kill being a Secret Service agent is a really, like, it's a shark jumping moment for me a little bit.
Okay.
But that's what we get, is we get Chucky and shooting. And so we don't see a lot of what I want to call Chucky gunplay. We don't get a lot of Chucky killing people with guns.
We don't usually. Usually he is pretty arm's length, which I know he's got short arms, but he's pretty arm's length when it comes to guns.
It's usually very stabby.
Yeah, he's usually very stabby.
And then we get some chainsaws, which is always fun. I love that. It's just very, like, it's always, like, very gory, but in an almost meta way.
Yeah.
That I enjoy. So we got some Chucky chainsaw in season 2. But so we get Chucky killing the Secret Service agent with a gun, making it look like a suicide. Is ultimately what we get with this episode. It's the only kill of the episode. I almost said spoiler alert, but this entire thing is spoilers.
Yeah, this entire thing is spoilers.
But it's the only kill we get in this episode. And then we see the Secret Service agent's funeral. And one of the through lines that we've gotten so far in this season that we haven't mentioned yet is that we get this very nosy reporter.
Oh, that's right. The nosy reporter.
The nosy reporter has red hair. I noticed that there's a sprinkling of red-haired people throughout this this season so far, and they all seem a little bit suspicious.
Now they did that with season 2. Lexi's
Mhm.
roommate was also
A redhead.
a redhead that
Mhm.
that had some Chucky-like features.
You should watch out for the gingers, always.
Yeah, but it's my favorite spice. After pumpkin, clove, and cinnamon, then ginger. You know, it's my favorite Spice Girl. Ginger spice.
Oh, true. Yeah.
There we go.
Mhm.
Work with me on this one. This is a stretch. I'm doing this all off the cuff.
But so we see a significant scene with the nosy reporter at the end of the funeral, and so that's just an interesting through line. We're gonna see that come back, I think.
Oh, definitely. I definitely think it. But not only do we see the reporter at the funeral, who else sees the funeral?
Let's see the funeral.
Jake.
Oh, Jake. Yes, it's Jake.
Jake, Lexi, and Devon all receive text messages from Chucky with a blocked out number, a number that doesn't exist.
Yes.
Which they're starting to try to put together when they see the funeral of the Secret Service agent and the first family in attendance, including Joseph, a.k.a. Chucky.
Mm-hmm.
And then they realize they found Chucky.
Yes.
And they have to find a way
to break into the White House. National Treasure style?
I guess so.
Maybe. Are we getting some National Treasure heisty hijinks in this?
I think we might.
I would be in favor of that.
I would be as well.
I love a good heist. I love a good heist. I love I love heist movies. I love learning about how people plan heists. I don't have any intention to ever rob anywhere. I just like knowing how people plan and execute heists. We're not doing that. Unless it's a Fast and Furious situation where we're being asked by a slightly suspicious government agency for some black ops stuff, then we would do it, of course, for our government.
For the people.
For the people. But yeah, I mean that's really the majority of the episode, I think.
Yeah, that's what we've got so far.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get a preview of the season, not the next episode per se. It's just little clips from the season throughout. So we don't really get an idea of what the next episode is, at least not the one that we saw. Maybe there's one already up for the next episode, but it's more of like a season-wide teaser. And that's the whole episode. So now that we've covered that, we've given some thoughts about the plot as it goes, let's talk about where we think we're going, or anything that's like jumping out, like any type of thing that really like you want to chew on. The hype of Fright hype, basically.
Okay. So I think we're getting some interesting we're getting a political angle this year. They lean real heavily into that even in the first episode. The president who was elected as an independent, and I thought that was the interesting and maybe smart choice of them. And he's very obsessed with being really open with the people. Is part of his platform, part of what he was elected on. And that's one of the things the reporter keeps asking, is if he's going to be forthcoming throughout. And he always says yes, but of course every public figure is going to have elements of their life that they don't want to be displayed publicly. And so I think that we're going to get some interplay where that's concerned. That's so some political intrigue, which is cool. I like some political intrigue. I don't want to go too heavy into actual politics because I don't like that. It's one of my problems with like the episodes 1 through 3 of Star Wars, but we can talk about that a different day. Is it goes too heavy into actual political maneuverings. I don't want that. I want the intrigue. I don't want the maneuvering. Yeah. And so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about how this reporter plays into things, and if she, I just feel like we're getting some like, I just feel like this reporter is somehow intertwined with Tiffany Valentine.
Okay. Okay.
It's just a theory. I don't have any insight into that whatsoever. I just have an inkling.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I got a lot of, and maybe this is just me, but I got a lot of like season 1 of House of Cards kind of feel from that, where the reporter and the president, where the political figure that we're following will like come to a head at some point. Does that make sense? Like them themselves, because the reporter hasn't talked to the president yet, only to like the press secretary.
Okay.
So I'm just kind of curious if that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Just throwing that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I have a theory as to how they get into the White House. Because, I mean, I assume, we don't know, but I assume they get into the White House.
I'm assuming they get in the White House. Yeah, I was always assuming it's the tunnels.
Oh, okay. You're going with the JFK tunnel.
I'm going, well, yes, but I was thinking like the Amy Carter tunnels.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that makes sense. I just thought of TikTok. I thought that was why TikTok was, because the son is on TikTok, and then
that makes
Lexi and
sense.
Jake are on TikTok, and I thought they were going to use that.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yes.
It doesn't. It's not as fun though. It's not as heisty.
I'm trying to make this into a heist season.
The feisty heisty season. That's what we have. I like the tunnel idea better. Stupid TikTok.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they get into the White House for sure, and what they're able to do once they get there, and whether or not it's going to frustrate me as far as like security protocols. But I mean, it does seem like they're going to probably have some trouble getting into the White House. So
yeah,
that'll be interesting. I really feel like the three actors who are playing Lexi, Jake, and Devon have really come into their own. They've always been good. I'm not insulting their work so far whatsoever, but it just really feels like they have come into their own as actors, and they're really embracing the character. And it's really cool to see. That's just an aside, really. That's not really what's going to happen this season, but I just feel like the acting from them is much stronger.
Yeah.
And it's obvious that they don't have to rely on like older actors to
there's no
help bolster the show.
Yeah, there's nothing in their way now. There wasn't that Andy Barclay or Alex Vincent was in the way when he was in the first season, or in the second season. It was we have to close out this story, and now it feels more like season 1 was, where it feels more like this is their story. Chucky hates them in particular. Yeah,
those three.
Those three are his, like targets, his primary targets, it feels like. Because we didn't see Nika at all in this episode. And we didn't see Nika in the little flash thing, but I assume Nika does show back up, because why wouldn't she? But I do want to applaud them. A lot of the Chucky humor comes from classic, like, Chucky saying funny things, and being just very slasher-ish, that Chucky, Freddy Krueger kind of like, I'm going to make a joke out of murder kind of thing. But I will say, one of the funniest jokes that I've seen on television in a very long time did come from this episode.
Okay.
Chucky texts all of the 3 kids to tell them, and he plays in character when he texts Jake about finding a good guy doll, and maybe he should contact him, because he knows Jake knows who it is. He's playing with their subterfuge. He's playing a game because he's Chucky. He's a good guy doll. He's going to play the game. He also does the same thing with Lexi. They all come together, and Jake explains his text, and he's like, it's got to be Chucky. And Lexi explains her text, and it's got to be Chucky. And then they turn to Devon, and Devon has his phone out, and they said, did you get a text? And he said, I got a text too. And he said, what did it say? He said, it just says, fuck you, Devon. And I thought that was hilarious.
This is obviously not PG rated.
No, it's not. Oh, we're talking about Chucky. So.
I mean, sure.
And I'm allowed 10 per episode anyway. But I thought it was a very funny text because Devon is a major part, but Devon was not doing subterfuge, so he couldn't play a game. So it was, he hates him, but also, why aren't you playing a game?
Right.
I wanted to play this game too. But I really liked it. I really thought it was going to be fun. I do agree with you 100%. And we said that when we were watching the show. There is a lot of suspension of disbelief that is going to be very, very difficult to actually do for this because of the setting.
Yeah, I mean, I said to James after we watched this episode, we watched it on Thursday evening, that if it had been set in a governor's mansion, then it would have been a lot more believable that Chucky could get into all these places and get away with this stuff rather than the White House. But honestly, that's going to bother me less and less as the season grows.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get more and more into it, and I'm going to be able to suspend my disbelief more. It's kind of the conclusion I came to, like after we talked about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is a weirdness about being in what is probably the most surveilled 25,000 square feet on Earth, and that Chucky's just going to lurk around in the shadows of there. Also, the White House is not as full, which is also a little bit of a suspension of disbelief. You see enough White House-based TV shows, movies, and whatnot, and a lot of that's based on the reality of it, so they're not lying to us. You walk through the White House, there are hundreds of people there all the time.
Of course.
And there are moments where there's some definite, like, they're walking through and it's like, oh, there's nobody here. What? That's not how the White House works.
But again, I think that will bother me less and less as the season goes on. And as the story part grows, it's easier to overanalyze in the beginning when it's moving slowly. Once it starts picking up, I'm not going to feel that way so much about it.
Yeah, and if it's anything like the previous seasons, whatever the setting is, quickly becomes a backdrop for the remainder of the season. It's still there, but it doesn't feel like a character. Right now, the White House feels like a character in this show, much like the school did in season 2. The religious school that they get sent to. Because when we watched that, it was like, oh, is this going to be a very oppressive anti-religion TV show, or is this going to be, what are they going to do with it? That gets dropped by episode 3, where really then the story picks up, and it just happens to be at a place. And I think maybe that's what they're going to do. It's just going to happen to also be at the White House.
Except for the element of that the kids have to get into it.
Yeah.
And so I do think that's going to play a bigger part. I mean, I think it's going to play a bigger part where that's concerned.
You think so?
I do.
This is my prediction. I think the kids are in the White House by the middle of the next episode.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so, because I think we're getting a whole episode of them figuring out how to get into the White House.
Okay.
While Chucky does more shenanigans.
And
we build some political intrigue.
Okay. I'm very excited to see how this plays out. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I hope that you all had fun.
Yeah.
On this, I know that we didn't get a lot of chatting, but hopefully you've enjoyed this particular episode. Hopefully you like this format. I promise you, over time we will refine this, and I will get better at this. Live streaming is something that I enjoy because of the interaction with people. But again, I did not release this until like 30 minutes before we went live, so...
Yeah, and let us know if this time works for you, or if a different time would work better. Like, let us know what you think.
Yeah, I
want to know.
Yeah, we had a poll about when to actually, like, what day to have this, but we only had 5 people vote on the poll, so there's a lot more subscribers out there than voted on the poll. So I mean, if everybody's like, no, it clearly needs to be Monday, then just let us know. Let's get some feedback, and that's what we're looking for going forward. Go watch Chucky season 3. Episode 2, please. And then let's talk about it next time we meet. Right now, we're currently slated to meet at 5:30 on Sunday next week.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Or we'll move it because you want me to move it. Or, whatever. But we're going to watch Chucky.
Mhm.
Clearly, she's going to watch Chucky.
Absolutely.
And clearly, I'm going to watch her just to make sure everything's on the up and up while she's watching Chucky. And then we're going to be back here next week at 5:30 for another episode of Fright Hype in which we discuss Chucky Season 3, Episode 2.
Yeah, and also if you're watching this after the fact and you want to leave a comment about what you think about episode 1, or if you have a question for us about episode 1 or 2, leave it in the comments, and then we will bring those up before we do our next live stream so we can address it then.
Yeah, definitely. Great idea. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
That's fantastic because we want to have as much fun covering this with everybody out there.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that we're starting this out, looking forward to how it grows, and having fun with everybody.
Definitely.
All right. So, you know what we got to say. Thanks for watching, and thanks for riding with the Fall Horseman, where Halloween lives.
And fall is forever.
And now you get to see the mechanics of me getting up, because there's only 2 of us, so I got to get up and actually stop the stream. Do 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 do.